All right, all right, all right. Here we are, live broadcasting of Career Alchemy. And my name is Lori Swanson. I am your host today of the live broadcast of the Career Alchemy live broadcast. And I come to you almost every Wednesday, almost always at 1 o'clock Central Time. Today I'm a little later because I attended an event, but happy to be here and happy to be connecting with all of you. So, what I wanted to think about, or I can't believe I just said that. Um, once you know what I'm talking about today, you'll get my little joke about thinking what I want to think about today. So, what I want to talk about is the career cost of um, anticipating trouble. So, what does it cost you to anticipate problems, anticipate trouble happening down the road? And so this all started because um, a while back I noticed something about how I was talking to myself. I often would say, something would I'd be working on something and I'd be like, "Oh, I'll worry about that later." Right? I'll worry about that later. The office thing, I'll worry about it later. The email thing, I'll worry about it later. That vacation planning, uh, detail, I'll worry about that later. It's just sort of habitual, and it's not just me who does it. I think you probably would, if now it's in your awareness, you'll notice, you'll say, "Oh, I'll worry about that later." Everyone does it. Everyone does it. So, and I thought, it's like completely normal. But one day, I noticed myself saying that, and I thought that's just strange to say, why plan for worrying about something later? Like, why? It's like I'm scheduling worry in the future. And why would I want to do that, right? So thinking about something later makes sense to me. Making decisions about something later makes sense to me. Addressing something later makes sense to me. But worrying about something later, that just doesn't make sense. So I decided to run an experiment, and I was just going to notice myself saying, "I'll worry about that later," and replace it with, "I'll think about that later." So that I just started doing that. And again, I say I worry about it. I mean, again, I don't even know I'm doing it, but now my awareness is raised, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I do that. It's just, oh, again, I'll be reading a book. Oh, I'm gonna, I want to give that to somebody, right? Oh, I'll worry about that later, right? And so it seemed like a tiny shift at the time, but it really did change everything. Because when I say I'll worry about something later, there's sort of this hidden assumption in there that something bad might happen, or that I might not be prepared for something that I need to be prepared for, or that I just need to stay vigilant because there's something to worry about later. So just that phrase creates tension. But when I say I'll think about that later, that shifts, like you can feel a shift in, it's a calm, much more calming phrase. Words carry energy, and I'll think about it later is way different than I'll worry about it later energetically. And so it's not that I'm ignoring the issue or pretending it's not there. That's not it. It's just that I'm simply trusting that when I get to the moment that I'm ready to address or consider something that I've been thinking about, that I will, you know, do what's necessary to consider plans of action and then take some action, right? Or no action if that's the case. So I'm paying attention to it all. And I'm again realizing how often, as I'm doing it in my personal life, just like always, I also start to recognize that this is something that we all do, not just personally, but professionally as well. We worry about the interview. I'm going to worry about my interview prep later. I'm going to worry about my resume later. I'm going to worry about that negotiation later. I'm going to worry about what my boss thinks later. What my boss thought about that, whatever later. So we just I'm going to worry about my career pivot later. All of those things, but really none of those things require worrying. They require thinking, about. They require some preparation, perhaps. They might even require some courage at some point, but they don't require worry now. If you're not addressing it now, then don't decide to worry about it now. So somewhere along the way, many of us learned that sort of confused, I think, worry with responsibility, or that if I worry about something, it sort of proves I care about something, or that worrying makes me more prepared. You know, if I worry about it, I'll definitely be more prepared. But I think the big one, at least for me in my own experiment, is if I worry about something, I will fix my necklace. It prevents me from being disappointed in the future. But that's also not true. You know, so confusing worry with prep uh, or protecting against disappointment or being more responsible and it's just a fallacy. It really is. Because I've never seen when in all my years of coaching and recruiting, I've never seen the more worried you are, the more likely you are to get that promotion, or the more worried you are, the more likely you are to get the interviews. The more worried you are, the better able you'll be able to handle that difficult conversation that's coming up. In fact, given the energy of worry, I would say the opposite is true. You're going to attract less interviews. You're going to create more maybe conflict inside of a conversation, and less likelihood to get what you are wanting and desiring, because it's sort of like it puts a little bit of a wall between how you desire something, the outcome of something, or what you're thinking about, the positive outcome, and those words like kind of slow it down or stop it from penetrating. So the fact of the matter is that what creates desired results, is thoughtful action. So thinking about something in the moment and then taking action on it. The future is always going to contain uncertainty. That we can count on. And it's true whether you're interviewing, leading a team, making a career shift, asking for something you want. There's always going to be some uncertainty there. The big question is, are you going to spend today's energy worrying about tomorrow's possible problems, right? We don't even know if they will be an issue. Yet we're spending if you spend any of this glorious day worrying about something that you're not taking action on now, that you're not going to do anything about, but you're going to accept worry about it, right? That energy, right, it's so unproductive, so not useful, so not beneficial. So when I catch myself now, when I, like these days, I do things differently. I watch my words, especially I still last night I said it and I'm like, oh, I was looking at the blog I'm writing for next week, and I had been looking at it. I'm like, oh, I'll worry about that later. And I don't want to worry about it. And I said, no, I'm not going to worry about that later. I'm going to pay attention to it later. And when I pay attention to it, then I'm going to be in a better space to make some, decisions about whether I wanted to add a little story at the beginning of the blog, which right now I did. And then I'm going to think about it again before I publish it live for you to see on Monday, because I'm just not sure, because it makes the blog longer and, these sorts of things. But I'm not making any decisions about it, and I'm not worrying about it either. And I think the other thing, just to that point, there's a I didn't write about this if you're going to look for this information by reading last week's blog or Monday's blog, which is where I get the topic I'm talking about today. This was not in it. So this is special for my live viewers, as well as for those who watch this recording, as long as it's up. I don't know how long they keep it up, but it's up for a little bit after I do a live. But there's a spiritual up level to what I'm talking about. So we've already it's already an up level to go from I'll worry about that till I'll think about that later. But the spiritual up level to it is to add, very simply add, I'll think about that later if necessary or if needed, something like that. And the reason that that's a spiritual up level, it's like you're alerting the universe that there's something out there that you might want to be thinking about later. And if the universe, your expanded self, your spiritual board of advisors, is desires to put their efforts behind what you're going to be thinking about in the future and resolve it before it even happens, or give you the solution before you even get to when you would think about it. I mean, come on. It's like between right now when you're releasing the worry and later when you're anticipating that you're going to be thinking about this particular topic again and taking some action on it, like in the middle, magic happens. And it resolves itself, whatever it was. Whatever it was gets resolved, handled by someone else. The resources come, the solutions come. You didn't have to worry about it for sure, so no energy there, and you really didn't have to do much to think about it because it got resolved. The only thought you had was, oh, I'm glad I didn't spend time worrying on that because it's done. I don't have to think about this thing anymore. I don't have to worry about it ever, and I don't have to think about it ever either. So that's kind of that spiritual up level to the shift is just, I'll think about it later if I need to think about it later. But if it gets resolved, I don't have to spend any energy now, later, or whatever. Or it'll give me the next set of actions I need to take. So that's today's topic. The cost of anticipating trouble. So when worry is really an anticipation of trouble. And, life brings us, I talk about sort of this idea of, like I have my little reminder, it's not all white, right? It's not all, it's black and white, or it's gray, or it's not all rainbows and puppy dogs. Like we have, I guess I will say the good and the bad. Both things are coming at us. And so if our energy stays in the moment, and we have our rational mind focused on it, and we have our expanded self and creative minds focused in the moment on what we need to pay attention to, instead of like leaping into the future and taking some of the energy we'd use to be in the moment and put it into the future that hasn't even happened yet, at least not in our linear world. It's just, again, not the best use of really the belief in yourself that whatever comes my way, good or bad or indifferent, I have the capacity, I have the resources, I have the connections, I have the time, I have the ability to manage it in that moment. I do not have to worry about it back there. I don't have to move that worry into the future. I can just say, I'll think about it later. And if needed, right? So that's it. That's it for today. No more anticipating trouble. And just be in the moment. Enjoy the wonderful things that are happening to you right now in this moment. And also know that you have whatever it takes to meet whatever is in front of you right now, today. So peace out, everybody. Follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the channels. Reach out to me, schedule a call. If you're at a career crossroads, if you're feeling like you've been steeping yourself in worry that you don't even know if you need to be worried about, I'm here for you. So let's go. I'll talk to you all later. Thank you for being here and listening to the recording. I really appreciate it.